Welcome to another edition of Three the Hard Way. I got my fellas back in the house, Coach Young and T. Terrence Austin. What's up, fellas? Ready to talk some sports, man?
Yeah, let's get this in, man. It's been a really exciting week in the world of sports. Yeah.
Hey, man, but before we get started, T sent us a text. A couple of hours ago, somebody walked into his bookstore. T, who walked into your bookstore a couple of hours ago, man?
I'm sitting in my bookstore in sports journalist extraordinaire, host of the Odd Couple podcast, Mr. Rob Parker.
All right.
Walked right in my door. All 6 foot plus of them. Walked right in my door, man. Made my morning. Rob Parker.
That's awesome.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Hey, you couldn't get him on the show this morning, T? What
He had to catch a flight. He had to catch a flight to Detroit and on. So, yeah, he had to catch a flight. I'll pin him down next time.
All right, yeah, we'll get him next time. Well, fellas, listen, man. A lot of stuff to talk about. We got to start with the NBA playoffs. And I guess since we're three brothers from Cleveland, I guess we got to start there. I don't want to start there. I think we all were. I think it's safe to say we were all optimistic going into the playoffs that the Cavs could at least get to that Eastern Conference Finals, but it didn't happen. A lot of disappointment from the fans. I think the organization is disappointed. I know I'm very disappointed. I've got a lot of thoughts. I got a lot of things to get off my chest about that. But initially, what are your initial thoughts, man, about the Cleveland Cavaliers, their season, and how they went out in the playoffs? As great as they were, getting the number one seed, do you look at this as a successful season? I mean, how do you guys look at this? How are you processing this, man?
I tell you, let me go first, Rod. Great regular season, disappointing playoff run, okay? I was disappointed. I really was. It was hard going to work the next day, too. You all saw it. I went to work with a paper bag over my head, okay? Because I catch it. I caught it from my sailors. I caught it from my colleagues. I even caught it from the patients, okay? I caught it. But that's been my story because I wear Cleveland sports on my sleeve. I have since I left home back in the early 80s. But getting back to your question, L Train, yeah, I was disappointed. I really was. Now, granted, yeah, we were nicked up. But everybody's nicked up this time of year. And I look at the injuries we had. That would not have kept Allen Iverson on the bench. That would not have kept Kobe Bryant on the bench. That would have not kept Michael Jordan on the bench, okay? Donovan Mitchell wasn't 100%, but he went out there and he battled. But to answer your question, yeah, I was disappointed because Indiana took it to us. They took it to us, and their coach outcoached our coach. It was just really disappointing. So going forward, I hate to say, as much as I love that team, I love that group, the regular season really, really doesn't matter. We need them to get playoff tough. Again, we need to get playoff tough, playoff ready. You guys coach. Playoff basketball is a whole lot different than regular season basketball. So we need to get better at that. But to answer your question, yeah, I was disappointed. And I'm not going to use the injury bug as an excuse because, again, nobody's 100% this time of year. Nobody's 100%. But, yeah, it was very disappointing. Yeah, it was. I couldn't wait for the next day to end at work for me because I caught it. Go ahead, Rod.
Yeah, so, it was extraordinary, disappointing to see them get physically and psychologically dominated by the Indiana Pacers. And listening to the press conferences afterwards, it really struck a nerve with me because other than maybe Donovan Mitchell, listening to Darius Garland and listening to Evan Mobley, you can just tell that they're young and they don't get it. Listening to Jared Allen, even though he's been in the league a few years, he didn't get it. You guys got physically punished. And my thing is, was this a successful season? Hell no. It wasn't. I don't care that you won 65 games. You got into the playoffs. You went through a garbage Miami Heat team who was in turmoil after they got rid of Jimmy Butler. You swept them, which you shoulda. And actually they were a play-in team, so technically in the old scheme of basketball in the NBA, they shouldn't have been there. Then you go into Indiana, you lose game one. Nobody really panicked about that. But that game two loss, I think, was the microcosm of that series. Because they had that game in hand, but they couldn't get the ball, inbound the ball. And so that's a Kenny Atkinson issue. Because as I said when we talked pre-show, how is it that Craig Porter Jr. didn't get more minutes than he should have? So, and that ended up costing them. And then, let's be honest, guys, when we look back at the series, their defense was putrid. They couldn't guard the corner. They made Ben Mathurin look like the second coming of Kobe. He was doing whatever he wanted to do. They got away from pounding the ball inside from Jared Allen. They stopped running pick and roll. They stopped giving Mobley the ball inside. I mean, this was just it was a disaster. And then I think the most disappointing thing about it, gentlemen, y'all correct me if I'm wrong, they have an opportunity, the way that the Eastern Conference Finals is going now.
Oh, man.
They could have gone to the NBA Finals, because the New York Knicks, they would have beaten even as badly as they played against Indiana. If they'd have beat Indiana, they're going to beat New York in a 7-game series, okay? So, yes, it's utterly disappointing, but the only caveat to that I have is this. I saw a statement that came out from Dan Gilbert, and Dan Gilbert said, he apologized. He apologized for the team, and he said it will get fixed. And the one thing I know about Dan Gilbert, he don't mind spending money, and he is business. And if people are not performing, he's going to make sure that changes happen and people are going to perform. So right now the Cavaliers are in the window in terms of salary cap. So this core four is staying together. This core four will be together. Now the ancillary pieces around it, you may see changes other than maybe DeAndre Hunter. I think DeAndre Hunter is probably one of the more untouchable. For me personally, I'm done with the Dean Wade experiment. I'm done with the Isaac experiment. Done with both of those because those two gentlemen were unplayable in the Indiana series. Unplayable. Along with, I'm forgetting his name now. His name's slipping my mind now. Ty Jerome.
Ty Jerome?
Yeah,
Ty Jerome.
Ty Jerome. Those three gentlemen were unplayable in the playoffs. Okay? DeAndre Hunter, I'm going to give him a pass because he had a messed up thumb. And he was the only one that showed some fight, when he got the technical foul, okay? And so, it was extraordinarily disappointing. But being a Cavs fan, I'm going to root for him next year. I'm going to wish the best for him next year. But I urge Cleveland fans right now. I've been a Cleveland fan all my life, been transplanted out here to Arizona, still Cleveland fan. Don't get caught up with the fandom, okay? Guys got to start thinking logically on a lot of things. Cleveland, okay? We can't just say this was a great season because they won 65 games. They didn't reach the goal, and the goal was the NBA championship.
It's a very unfortunate ending. I think both you guys made some great points. I coach, and I think sports psychology, man, is an industry that is really understated. Albeit I don't coach on that level. But I deal with some high caliber athletes every day I go into work. And the one question that I ask of the Cleveland Cavaliers is, they were a pretty good defensive team all year. They were a pretty good offensive team all year. Yeah, did they have some things that they needed to shore up? Yes, every NBA team does. But where does all that go when the pressure mounts? See, it's all about that pressure. Coach Atkinson, coach is different. In pressure moments, they had trouble with the inbound play. I'm sure if the pressure was off, he's got a plethora of inbound plays that he could make work. But when the pressure is on, who are you when the pressure is on? And I talk to my players about this all the time. It is why every day in practice, my players laugh at me because I'm kind of anal about this, but we always go through situational stuff.
Yep.
And they always ask me why. And I said, because I need to find out who you are under pressure when the score is the score.
Right.
And so I think the Cleveland Cavaliers and their personnel and their coaches, they need to put it's paramount that they start doing situational things, and that has to be a big part of their pie chart when it comes to what they prioritize with their team. Rodney, I think you hit it dead on the head. Like, they're young in spots, and they just don't get it. I feel like a lot of their players, especially the young ones, they feel like, yeah, okay, we dropped the ball this time, but we gonna be back. We'll be back. And, man, in high caliber sports, there is no guarantee that you're ever going to get back there. And I feel bad for them because they missed a window of opportunity.
Right.
Things have just shaken out where the Cavs could have been in the NBA Finals. And I don't think there's anybody on the West side of things where you can just pencil them in and say, okay, you guys can beat the Cavs.
Right.
I mean, they just missed a really, really big opportunity. And my biggest thing, sometimes I get on my soapbox when it comes to these Cleveland teams. It is just sad that they built up all of this excitement being the number one seed. And I know that number one seed doesn't guarantee you a trophy, but man, at least they could have made a run. At least they could have made a run, to appease the fans that have been coming down there, spending that money, helping the economy in downtown Cleveland, supporting them. And the thing that's going to kill me is that this is going to create a lot of critics, fellas. And sometimes when people get emotional, a lot of those negative things start to come out in terms of verbiage towards the Cleveland Cavaliers. And the players, when they hear this stuff, I know they're going to bite back. Well, stay off the bandwagon. If you're off the bandwagon, when we're good, don't get back on. And see, these players need to realize what they do to fans, man, with all of this roller coaster riding and stuff. Again, I know they wanted to win, but how badly they wanted to win, man, I don't know. I just have this snapshot of those players sitting on the bench in street clothes.
Laughing and coking and smoking and joking.
Man, when we really needed them.
Right.
Yeah, I attended the 20-minute therapy session with Dr. Jones the day after the Cavs lost. I was on my couch getting my therapy from you. And also to L Train, I love the analogy that you used as far as what you do with your players. You practice situations. On board Navy ships, when there's a fire, we can't call the fire department. So what do we do?
Right.
We have fire drills 2 or 3 times a day at sea because hey, fires are going to happen. And again, we can't call 911. We have to put them out. So that's why we practice at sea, putting fires out. So same thing, like you say, that day, the Cavs just couldn't inbound the ball. They couldn't bring the ball up, and they were just waiting for the clock to tick out so they could possibly, go into the locker room, and Halliburton caught up with him with that deep three, and it was never the same after that. It wasn't the same.
And you can say in game 2, the fact that they couldn't get the inbounds in, if you look at the last 3 minutes of that game, the Cavaliers were playing not to lose. There's a difference.
Not to lose.
No, Train, you coach basketball just like I have, and there's a time where you get complacent and you find yourself like, okay, here, let's just go, or maybe we'll run a 4 corners and try to run the clock out or what have you. And no, the Cavs played not to win and not to lose. They got caught in the moment. And so, like I said, that game 2, that Halliburton shot, I think that crushed their spirits. It really did. Donovan Mitchell tried to will his way and will that team, to, that's why that game 3, he was fabulous. But if you looked even at game 3 and game 4, Donovan Mitchell was out of gas. He gave everything he had. He was out of gas, and he was looking for help from someone. No one came to get help. I'll leave it like this. I'll leave this last point. When DeAndre Hunter got into his scuffle, look and see everyone who went to it. That's going to tell you the microcosm of a team. And the biggest one that did not go to that, go back and watch that and watch Jared Allen. Watch Jared Allen. Jared Allen stood there. He let all that fracas go, and he stood there. That's the mark of if you got my back or not. Because when I grew up, even in the streets, when I was playing ball and I was with my boys, if something went down and I saw my boy in a scuffle, I was running straight to it. If I had my teammates back, I was running straight to it. Heck, we all came from Warrensville. If something went down in the gym with let's say Shaw High, it was on. You worried about people coming out from the stands. It was on.
It was on.
So what I'm saying is that even though this team seemed to be together, they weren't together. I think the glue on that team, believe it or not, was Max Strus, and Max Strus had his worst game in Game 5.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, but like I said, I'm going to still cheer for him, going to still root for him next year, but yes, I'm extraordinarily disappointed.
A big-time mentor of mine, and we bonded over being from Cleveland. I had an incredible relationship with him, was Flip Saunders, former head coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves, president of basketball operations. I miss that guy so much because, now I'm coaching college basketball, and I would like to bend his ear about a lot of different things. And I remember what Flip told me one day. We were working a camp together, and I remember he told me one day we were talking about the Timberwolves. And he said the one thing that he always judges his team on is the power of eights. And what he meant by that is he said your team is who they are when you're up by 8 points and when you're down by 8 points. He says somehow when you are up double digits or down double digits, the mind plays tricks on the body. And he said, when you are getting blown out, that's not your team. But if everybody's a human being and they have their emotions. So sometimes people tend to quit. And then when you're up by a lot, you're blowing somebody out, right? It's like you become a little bit more lackadaisical. You become a little bit more relaxed because you got this big lead. He says, always judge your team and their stats when you're up by 8 and when you're down by 8. And I've always taken that with me to whatever team I've ever coached, man. It's just a great philosophy to have.
That's good.
Makes sense.
When you look at the Cleveland Cavaliers, obviously they've got financial restrictions. We were talking about it pre-show. That's relevant. But as an organization and as a fan, I mean, do you want to see this thing ran back with the team currently constructed? You know, if not, what changes would you make tomorrow if you had the power to make it?
I want the core 4 plus the kid Hunter that we got from Atlanta. Now, those other little ancillary pieces, like Rod said, hey, if we can upgrade, let's go for it. The core 4 plus, DeAndre Hunter. However, I like Ty Jerome too. But, there's a couple other guys, Rod, that you have mentioned. Again, if we can upgrade, I'm okay with that because, again, how would I put it? And also, too, Evan Mobley, yeah, he's much improved this year, much improved. But the goal is we want him to turn into what KG is or was, and, we want him to develop into that. And I just don't see it. I really don't. I don't know if that's too high a bar setting for him. I kind of think it is. Yeah, he had a great year, much improved year, but him turning into that beast and really, really bulking up, I just don't see it. I don't see it. So if anybody in the core 4 we had to, lose and move on from, I'd be okay with moving on from him. I really would. From Mobley.
Okay.
Go ahead, Rod.
I think we lost you till you froze. Rod, what do you think?
So, for me, it's very simple. Do I want the core 4 to stay together? Yeah. But there's got to be some conditions. Condition 1 is...
Y'all still there?
Evan Mobley, I do agree with T, when he said it. I think Evan Mobley sounds crazy, but I think he's at a ceiling. I'm being honest with you. I don't see Evan being a 30-15 guy. I don't see that. I see him mainly in the 15 to 18 point range. 10, 12 boards here, block shots. I mean, being the defensive player of the year, I can see him consistently
don't hit reload
doing
or cancel to it.
But to be the central figure on that team, I don't know if I'm going to roll like that. That's just not me. Jared Allen to me is a problem. And what I mean by Jared Allen being a problem is if he's not running pick and roll or if he's not slamming the ball, he's an offensive liability. He's not a guy that you can throw the ball down in the post and he going to give you, he going to drop the dream shake on you. You know what I mean?
He's like Rudy Gobert, right? He's like Rudy Gobert.
Exactly. And so, if you're going to play that system where Evan Mobley is going to be on the outside, you got to have somebody in the middle that you can still be able to throw the ball to. I really and truly I do believe that the ancillary pieces need to change. Now, I'm going to say something that's kind of controversial. And so let's get ready. And I know people in Cleveland are going to be like, okay, Coach Young, you tripping. I honestly, now the Ty Jerome thing, that's going to be, if they can afford him. I think Ty Jerome played himself out of the bag. I think the smartest thing for Ty Jerome to do is to re-sign with the Cavaliers. If he tries to go out on the free agency road, I don't think he's going to get the money he thinks he's going to get. So, but I said this to a friend of mine not too long ago, is I believe you need to bring Darius Garland off the bench. I think you need to stop doing this two small guards type thing because it didn't work with Dame and CJ. It didn't work with them. The smaller two guards, it didn't work. You understand? The last two smaller type guards that I ever saw that played well to me was Isaiah and Joe Dumars. But Joe Dumars was 4. You understand what I'm saying? 6'4", 6'5". It's really hard to play basically two smaller guards together. I think, and I thought that in the playoffs, I thought that Darius Garland should have came off the bench and played with that second unit because there was no one in that second unit that could guard Darius Garland. I just think that the Cavaliers are trying to force feed us, this two guard set. I believe that I don't think Donovan is the point guard. I think you need to put a true point guard in there, a bigger point guard at that point, and just bring him off the bench. It's not going to make him less of an all all-star. We're trying to win. We're not trying to just we can't make folks happy. And I know people are going to say, hey, Cole, yeah, you crazy. But just look at
I think
it.
you're on this now.
Look at it. Because when teams go against the Cavaliers, what do? They isolate Darius Garland defensively. They isolate him because he's a smaller guy. Jason Tatum was abusing him. And Jason Tatum's 6'8". So, I mean, it's a mismatch. So, I just really believe that there's got to be some kind of shakeup in the front court. How they do it, I don't know. I do believe that now it's time to release the experiment, which is the Imani Bates experiment. Let that young man go ahead and get his growing pains in the league. He's 6'10". He's a lot better right now scoring-wise than Dean Wade. Dean Wade gives you nothing. At least Imani Bates is going to give you some buckets, okay? He still has to learn how to play defense, but at least he's going to score, okay? Like I said, I think the Isaac Okoro experiment is done. Why are we continuously trying to make Isaac Okoro something that he won't be? He cannot shoot. I don't care that he's been the first guy in the gym and the last guy to leave. It's not showing on the court, okay? Now, he's a great defender, but how far can you go playing 5-on-4 offensively? Okay, so I just believe that this core four can stay together. I just believe it's got to be some tweaks and some tweaks to the lineup. I think Kenny Atkinson, he's a player's coach, but he's got to be smarter. He got out coached in the playoffs by Rick Carlisle. He did, and so now he's got to go back, and there's things that he has to do. So, I think we'll see Donovan and Darius in the backcourt again next year. I think he believes that it works. I just don't think it's working.
Okay. T, I wanted to make sure you finish your thought.
Yeah, I'm good.
You froze out on us. Go ahead and finish your thought.
I'm good.
Okay. The thing about me, man, the one thing about a loss like this, and it was just devastating, is sometimes when you get emotional, you make rash decisions when you are emotional. It's one thing. I live about an hour away from my campus. So everybody's like, Jones, how are you commuting that far from your house to your campus? And I'm like, man, it's a luxury because after a tough loss, I get to decompress an hour before I get home and I have to be a husband to my wife. Yeah. It also gives me the luxury to be able to drive into work every day and get my thoughts and develop a game plan on what I want to accomplish throughout the day. I think the Cavaliers are kind of in the same state. Yeah. Like they don't want to have to make an emotional decision based off of the sting of this loss, because that's when you really start to make bad decisions. I was driving into campus one day and, man, I just killed myself because I can't remember who the journalist was that was on this sports talk show that I was listening to. And they brought up the hypothetical because we all know Giannis is kind of out there looking, or at least the rumor is that he's open to moving elsewhere other than the Milwaukee Bucks. So the topic of conversation came up. Would you move Evan Mobley? And I'm sure there will have to be some other pieces with this, but they were just talking about the two players straight up. Would you move Evan Mobley for Giannis Antetokounmpo? And their ages are different. Obviously, Mobley has a lot more time in the league than what Giannis would have. But Giannis is a bona fide superstar in the league right now. You know what you're getting right now today if you were able to acquire Giannis Antetokounmpo. The one thing that was really perplexing to me is that the guy who covers the Cleveland Cavaliers was saying absolutely 100% not, that the Cavs should not entertain that at all, only because of the age discrepancy. My thought is, when you look at Giannis, first of all, we would be so much better to add that talent to the Cleveland Cavalier roster. That's number one. But, however, it depends on what you're giving up. Like, the one thing you can't do is blow up that team or blow up that core for Giannis Antetokounmpo, because now you're right where you started. And so it would depend on what you have to give up, what sort of draft assets you would have to get up. But I'm at least coming to the table to talk about it, right, fellas?
Yeah, it would be very complicated, but you heard me say I don't think Mobley is going to turn into what we really, really want him to be. Yes, he's young. He's got a lot more basketball in him. However, on the flip side, I think Giannis has got another 5 or 6 good years in him. If it could just be a trade head-to-head for him, I'd do it in a heartbeat. I really would. Because, again, like I say, I don't think Mobley is going to turn into really, really what we want him to be. But I don't think it's going to happen because, like Rod said, we're cap. We're we're restricted by the cap. We just don't have the assets to do it. But if it could just be a head-to-head, I'd have done that yesterday. I really would. Because Giannis is going to be playing somewhere else next year. He is. He is. He's going to be somewhere
Yeah,
else.
yeah.
All right. So here we go. I'm gonna go opposite of that. All right. Now here we go. And
Okay.
the reason I'm going opposite of that is not because of age. It's because of, to me, skill level. So get this. The reason I would not trade Evan Mobley for Giannis Antetokounmpo right now is, yes, I do think with Evan still, he's almost at his ceiling. I just said that. He's at his ceiling. I think that 15 to 18 point range, 8 to 10 rebounds, 3 block shots, couple steals, couple assists, I think that's him. Here's my thing with Giannis Antetokounmpo. He still can't shoot. And if you stop his straight line drive, I call it the LeBron drives that he has when he goes to the cup and nobody can't stand in front of him, after a certain point, that becomes tired. And you can back off, zone your defense up, and now make Giannis a shooter. Giannis has never been a shooter. Giannis is not going to be a shooter. Where Evan Mobley is somewhat decent from the perimeter, and he's decent from the outside. So that would be my only reason why I would not. Now, is Giannis a force? Yes, Giannis is a force. He really is. But I even watched the Cavaliers defend him. They defended him with Jared Allen. And Jared Allen did a really good job. What he did was he stopped his straight line drives. He runs off of rebounds. So off of missed shots. He's gone. But half court, I'm not really impressed with Giannis Antetokounmpo in the half court. I'm just not. Where even in the half court, you can put Evan Mobley in some pick and pops and some pick and rolls, and he can hit that mid-range shot. So I'm coming from a skill level. Now, would I come to the table? Yeah, I do agree with you, L Train. You got to tell me what I'm giving up, because I'm not giving up a whole bunch of draft picks in the farm for Giannis Antetokounmpo at this stage of his career. I'm not doing that. And when people compare Evan Mobley to a Kevin Garnett, I say no. When people compare Evan Mobley to a Chris Bosh, I say no. The reason I say that is not because of skill. It's mentality. Evan Mobley is a nice kid. I believe if somebody were to take an elbow and put it in Evan Mobley's chest, he'd receive it and say thank you and be on his way. He doesn't have the mentality where Kevin Garnett was talking about your mama while you was on the court, and Chris Bosh was coming at you left side pit bull wise. Evan Mobley is a nice guy. That's what he is. And people are trying to, they had to get him to talk about himself for the Defensive Player of the Year, and he still wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
Evan Mobley is who he is. If Evan Mobley had his brother's mentality, I don't know if you ever listened to his older brother. If he had his brother's mentality, you're talking about a dog. But Evan Mobley's not built. Yeah. He got drafted by the Cavaliers. Same time that Evan was drafted. But his mentality is completely different than Evan's. Evan is a really nice guy. You know what I'm saying? And so, but to answer your question, no, I wouldn't make that trade. But the reason I wouldn't make that trade is not because of age. It's surprisingly, I wouldn't make that trade because of skill level.
Yeah, I would take that trade all day long. My only caveat to that would be, and I'm not a capologist, but my only caveat would be, does it put the Cleveland Cavaliers into the second apron? And I believe on the surface that it would put them in the second apron. And if it's in the second apron, that means the Cavaliers really can't maneuver. It's why the Minnesota Timberwolves got rid of Big Cat. They wanted to get out of that separate. They want to get out of that second apron. Big Cat was going to be demanding $60 million the next year, with which the New York Knicks are going to have to pay him. And you got to ask yourself, as great of a season as the New York Knicks are having right now, how many times can they run this thing back to back? And they're going to be in the second apron with Cat. So their team is who their team is going to be until they can get rid of some of those contracts.
If they win this year, it'll be worth it for the Knicks. If they win this year, it'll be worth it.
Absolutely.
And can you imagine if the Knicks make the championship and your Timberwolves make it?
You know I'm ready for that, Rod.
Rob, we wouldn't be able to tell him that. We wouldn't be able to tell him nothing.
Oh, boy.
Oh, I am ready for it. Listen, man, I live about 45 minutes away from the Target Center. I would be there for every home game. I would be there for every home game
As you should.
of that championship series. Oh my God. That is my dream championship series, the Knicks versus the Timberwolves.
Might
But the
happen.
Timberwolves got to get past the Nuggets or OKC, whoever it's going to be.
Can you imagine Cat versus Ant in a 7-game series?
My God.
Man, oh man, I just wanted to throw that out there, brother. Hey, Cat might be on the revenge tour, baby. He might be on the revenge tour. So you can see that coming.
Yeah. On a serious note, fellas, how bad did you feel for Jason Tatum when he went down with the Achilles?
Yeah, felt bad. Oh yeah.
So awful for that, man. That is as much as I'm not a Boston guy. To see him go down, and the funny thing is the way he went down. We've seen it before. I knew it was his Achilles tendon. As soon as he went non-contact and he was going after the ball, and from a different angle, you saw his calf. You saw that calf pop. I just felt so awful for Jason Tatum. Now, I will say this, though, because I know Boston fans will see it and, we lost because we lost Tatum. They were going to lose anyway. I'm be honest with you. Even with a healthy Jason Tatum, New York just had their number. They were going to lose that series anyway, but I felt really, really bad for Jason Tatum. Speedy recovery, prayers out to Jason Tatum. I hope he comes back. But they're also deep in the Caps. There's going to be, I think I heard Al Horford announce his retirement after that series. So they got some moves that Boston has to make. And so, but no, I really hated seeing that. You hate seeing anybody get hurt in the playoffs, but not like that.
No doubt. Yeah, as much as I dislike that team.
Yeah, if
hated to see that happen. And you're right. They're going to look totally different next year. They are, because they got some changes to make with that squad. So they're going to look different. So how would I put it? They've been on a run for a while. I remember they were trying to overtake the Cavs, a couple years after we won the chip. So they've been at it for a while. But that team is not going to look the same going forward. They're not.
Now, real quick.
If there was a silver.
Real quick, L-Train. By Boston being different next year. Okay, does this make, if the Cavaliers stay in place and if New York stays in place, does the whole shape of the Eastern Conference change?
I think it does. And this is what I'm talking about with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Like, there is a sting in the organization from the way they went out. And this is why you can't make rash decisions, because you got to think. That's a great point, Rod. You've got to think a couple steps ahead. Like, as bad as this feels now, sometimes it's not about what you do within your organization, but it's about what other people are doing around you. And so I think that's a great point that you brought up. If the Cavaliers stayed pat and did nothing, and the Celtics have to make some changes, the Knicks may have to move some things around too. What does that do for the Cleveland Cavaliers?
And don't forget about Indiana and Detroit too, fellas. Don't forget about those two teams.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Detroit's coming, T. Detroit
sleep
is
on
coming.
That boy Paolo Banchero and the Wagner brothers there in
Orlando.
Orlando,
yeah. Anything can happen. If there was a silver lining in the whole Jason Tatum thing, because what a lot of people don't realize is Jason Tatum has been taking some heat, man. He's been taking some heat for not showing up like the people wanted him to that are Boston Celtics fans in the playoffs. If there was a silver lining in this whole thing, is that he was balling before he got hurt. Like, this wasn't a game where he wasn't showing up and then he went after the ball and popped his Achilles. Before he got injured, he was balling in that game, man. And I think that's a silver lining for Jason Tatum.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And I think now, because he's got time to reflect, he's got time to heal, it's going to take him a minute to get back. I think he's going to come back stronger. I really do. I'm afraid that he's going to come back to a completely different team. And, he's already carried the majority of the load, him and Brown, but I don't know if he's going to continue to carry, if he's going to continue to be able to carry that load.
Yeah. I'm a big Timberwolves guy. You guys know that. I'm even more of a KG guy, but I've gotten a little bit of pushback on my podcast, Unconventional Playbook, because I try to tell it like it is, man. I try not to let my fandom come into play all the time. I love KG. Where I got pushback is it's time for the grown-ups, man, to get to the table and talk about who's the best Timberwolf ever. And it has always been Kevin Garnett. I mean, without question, you can throw up J.R. Ryder up in there if you want to. You can throw Christian Laettner up there if you want to. Stephon Marbury, KG, Wally Zerbiak, Tom Gugliotta. There's a lot of great Pooh Richardson. There's a lot of great Timberwolves. All right, but no one came close to KG. He was Teflon when it came to the best Timberwolves ever. Now you got this young buck, man.
Mm-hmm.
You got this Anthony Edwards. Even though he does it a different way, Anthony Edwards is a dog.
Mm-hmm.
And the Minnesota Timberwolves are an organization from year to year. I mean, their body of work and their resume is really not being relevant. They've had their moments. They've had their moments with Christian Laettner and Kevin Love and KG and all those guys, but they've never had a run like this, man. He's got Anthony Edwards, the last game that they won to eliminate the Golden State Warriors, even though it was without Steph. I believe that it would have been a closer series, but they still would have beat the Warriors with Steph. That's just my opinion. He has gotten the Minnesota Timberwolves to back-to-back Western Conference Finals. That has never been done. And he's dropping 25 to 38 points a game in all those games while being a playmaker, while being a facilitator. And people are calling him the legend killer because he's taking out Draymond. He's taking out Steph Curry and the boy. He's taking out Jokic. He's taking out Kevin Durant. I mean, he's got a resume of so-called Hall of Famers and legends that he's just taking out, man. And he's got the Timberwolves in the Western Conference Finals again. What are your thoughts on Anthony Edwards? Should there even be a conversation between, okay, who's the greatest Timberwolf between KG and Ant-Man? I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's too early to even have that conversation. Let the kid just keep on playing. It's too early. It's too early, Lionel. Yes, it's too early. Let the kid just keep on playing. The scary part about it is I don't even think he's maxed. He's maximized all his efforts yet. So he's got a lot more improvement, a lot more to go, a lot more to put into that recipe of chili, okay? So I think it's too early. Now, if you all happen to win, if they happen to win a chip, and then, then maybe next year, halfway through, you can start talking about it. But he hasn't paid his dues yet. He hasn't been around long enough to be able to be in that conversation. Is he the best, Timberwolf ever? It's too early in the game. It's too early. Too early to even throw that at him. Too early.
Yeah, T, you make a really, really good point. But here's the perspective I try to get people to take when it comes to this conversation. It's not like, we're not talking about the GOAT being the best ever in the whole NBA. Like, we're not talking about that. We're talking about a franchise that has been really irrelevant in the NBA for a long time. So the floor compared to where the ceiling isn't really that high. KG was really great, but so was Kevin Love, and so was J.R. Ryder, and all those great players for the Minnesota Timberwolves, they got a bag full of losses. Even when KG was here, really the only year that he had that was great in terms of wins and losses was when they got Sam Cassell and when they got Sprewell. They made that run to the Western Conference Finals, and then they couldn't repeat that. So it's not like all the great players for the Timberwolves have this great body of work in terms of wins and losses. You got Anthony Edwards at 23 years of age, who's got the stats, all the statistics, probably not the all-time statistics, but then he's got the wins, man. I mean, this dude is taking this franchise where it just hasn't been taken before. I mean, should that come into the equation, or am I thinking about that wrong?
Right.
So I kind of agree with T, is that he hasn't done enough to put him in that pantheon with, the Kevin Garnetts, the Kevin Loves, and let me miss this one out. Shout out to the late Malik Sealy. Yeah. Okay. Because Malik Sealy was a dog too, and so I want to see more, and that's why I said the comparisons to Jordan comes in with him. Is because Michael put up the stats in 84 and 85. You know what I'm saying? Now, where Ant has bested him is he's gotten this team to the Western Conference Finals, okay? Now, just like T is saying, and I got to roll, as much as I love Anthony Edwards, if Anthony Edwards wins a championship, now we can talk. Now we can say, all right, that dude is the greatest Timberwolf because he would have done something that even KG didn't do. He would have done something that Kevin Love couldn't do. he brought a championship to Minnesota. Even if he gets to the NBA Finals.
I was going to ask that.
I know that gerbil rolling in your head, L Train. Even if he gets to the NBA Finals, we can start talking about Ant Edwards in that pantheon. Now, remember, this dude is nothing but confidence. He told former President Barack Obama, I'm him. Okay? He said it. I'm him. All these other NBA players around here, I'm him. So he has the confidence to do it, but I think I said it in a previous show. He hasn't figured it out yet. Once Ant truly figures it out and truly matures in his basketball IQ, that young man is going to be unstoppable. You understand what I'm saying? He'll be the closest thing to Michael and Kobe when it comes to being unguardable, okay? Because right now, he's just going off of sheer athleticism. He's doing everything off of athleticism. When he gets the nuances of the game, the idiosyncrasies of the game, Anthony Edwards is going to be that dude. And you're going to have to talk about him for a while. Now, the sad part is when he gets to that, he may not be in Minnesota, okay? When that happens, he may end up pulling a KG and going to a larger market. Because you know how the money is. He did.
Yeah, for
He's
sure.
doing the Sprite commercials in Minnesota right now, but imagine the endorsements that he's gonna get if he's in just saying in LA or Miami. You know what I'm saying? Can you imagine him in Miami? Come on, you understand what I'm saying? So, but to answer that question, yeah, I do. I agree with T. He ain't done enough yet. He gonna get there, but he hasn't done enough yet for me to talk to him in the same breath as a Kevin Garnett. That's hard for me to do.
And L Train, you're close to that organization. Is he under somebody's wing to help him get there? Does KG work with him? Any of those? Where does he go in the summer? Where is he at?
Yeah, great question. He and KG are very close. And I think they're going to be closer now because A-Rod has bought the team with his ownership group. There was a falling out between Kevin Garnett and Glenn Taylor, our former owner. So, KG hasn't come back to a game since Glenn Taylor's been the owner of the team since he retired. Now A-Rod is there. Everybody's talking about, think about this. KG's number's not even in the banners. His number hasn't even been retired. So the verbiage around Minneapolis right now is that now we've got A-Rod. KG has already talked to him. He's going to get a possible job in the front office. Okay. They're going to retire his jersey next year. So everything that should have been done that wasn't done in the past with KG is going to be done with the Minnesota Timberwolves organization. And to answer your question, T, he and Anthony Edwards are really close. Kevin Garnett has come out and said that he thinks Anthony Edwards is going to break every record that he's got there with the Minnesota Timberwolves. He is that talented. So he's got people in place to keep him on an even keel, to keep him having that level head. To a certain extent, I do agree with you, Rod. I don't think he's going to finish his career in Minnesota. Like the odds of that happening is rare. So we got to try to get this chip when we can. Great points by you guys. My only thing is, I think when it comes to Kevin Garnett, man, and again, I love Kevin Garnett. In my eyes, he's my favorite Timberwolf of all time. I just think when it comes to KG, there's like this misconception of what he did in Minnesota. And I think people are looking at the Boston KG winning that ring. Yes. As great as he was in Minnesota, he just didn't elevate the franchise. He played well.
Right.
He just didn't elevate the franchise. And I wouldn't argue with anybody that said that he's still the greatest Timberwolf. I'm just saying that Anthony Edwards is coming, and he should at least be in the conversation now because of what he's done to elevate everybody around him. It's just been incredible to watch. Not to jump to another subject or change the subject real fast, but because I coach women's basketball, my players will kill me if I don't bring this subject up. We had a really, really good game. Was it yesterday? Really good game yesterday. And Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese. The WNBA knew what they were doing when they had to be their tip-off game. Did you guys watch the game?
I saw the highlights. Didn't watch the game, but saw the highlights.
Same here. Yeah, saw the highlights.
Man.
Yeah.
The intensity of the game, playoff atmosphere in terms of the WNBA, the Fever are much improved.
It is.
The Chicago Sky has added some pieces. But the big story about the game is that Caitlin Clark had a hard foul on Angel Reese that was ruled a flagrant one. And so everybody was talking about the response from Angel Reese. And after the game, during that moment, the response from Caitlin Clark. What are your thoughts about the foul? If you saw the highlights, obviously you had to see the foul. What are your thoughts about the foul? Should it have been a flagrant one? Did they over officiate that?
Yeah, they over officiated that. That should have been a flagrant one. Flagrant one. And then I have to give Caitlin credit because she was sticking up for her teammate. You know, on the previous play leading into that, she was sticking up for her teammate. But again, what happened at the end of the game? Hey, I tell you what, ratings are going to go up and going to continue to go up. I'm a fan of the WNBA. I love it. You know, I'm going to be following that Atlanta Dream team, you know, because they got my girl Jordan Canada on there, who I love. But getting back to yesterday's game, yeah, that shouldn't have been a flagrant one. And again, give Caitlin credit because she was taking up for her teammate. Now, what needs to happen with the WNBA? Women need to support that league. They need to support those ladies. They need to start going to those games. You know, the women need to, you know, go and support that because I love the product. Prior to that, you know, like I told you, I still do love women's college basketball. But the last 2 or 3 years, I've really been, you know, sold on the WNBA, and I can't wait for Cleveland to get their team back. Bring back those old Cleveland Rockers. Bring them back.
That's right.
Go ahead, Ryan.
So common foul. That's all it was. It was just a common foul. Number one, if you look at the play, if Caitlin Clark wouldn't have fouled her, she'd have had an easy layup. There was no one between her and the basket. So it's just a common a common foul. It wasn't a flagrant foul. Angel Reese got into her feelings. You understand what I'm saying? But that's basketball. She wasn't trying to hurt her. But see, I can also see what the WNBA is trying to do between them two. Okay? Let's go back to Magic and Bird. And I'm not saying that either one of them is Magic Johnson or Larry Bird. But it's the rivalry.
Yeah, but I know what you're saying.
It's the rivalry that they're trying to set up between Angel Reese, and Caitlin Clark. And Caitlin Clark is a baller. I don't care whether she's black, white, yellow, green, blue. It don't matter. A hooper is a hooper. And she a hooper.
Yep.
That's right.
For 20-10 and 10 the other night. You understand? Do you hear what I'm saying? 20-10 and 10. She had a triple-double. And so Angel Reese right now is just, she's scraping the surface of how good she can be. But now that they put this rivalry together, in all actuality, it's not a rivalry because Caitlin Clark is a much better basketball player. But I see what the WNBA is trying to do. By them making that a flagrant foul, by the comments after the game, what does it do? It draws clicks. It drew us in. It draws clicks. So people are going to be interested. No, they don't want fighting in the WNBA, but they're not going to poo-poo it if it happens, okay? So my thing is, just going back to the play, it was a common foul. It wasn't like she clotheslined her. She just chopped her hands, okay? And Caitlin, being a student of the game, she was like, it was going to be a layup. I'm not giving a free layup. Okay, and you've coached, and I've coached, and if she would not have fouled her, I'd have been upset. You just gonna let her walk to the basket? No, absolutely not. But
Get her.
it's must-see TV when Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese are on the court. So the WNBA wasn't goofy when they put that game together. They knew what they were doing. So this is just another form of Magic and Bird. This is what it is.
There you go.
Well, I look at the file. I mean, you could put together a compilation of fouls against Caitlin Clark last year that don't even come close to what they called the flagrant yesterday. So, I mean, when it comes to those two, man, you know, people have their narratives about both players. I feel like I don't understand why a lot of the players don't embrace Caitlin the way they should, because I'm all about elevating the game. And for whatever reason, if she's going to elevate the game, I'm with that until the game is elevated. I mean, you're talking about the way you travel. You're talking about your contracts aren't as big as the NBA. I mean, you're talking about all this stuff. Caitlin Clark helps that. Whether you agree with whether or not she's that good or not or whatever, she's helping to elevate the game.
Yes, she is.
Jump on board with that. And then I hate the narrative about Angel Reese that she's a garbage basketball player. The one thing that bothers me, I see it a lot on TikTok and X and all this stuff. They say that she pads her rebounding stats because she misses a lot of layups and then she rebounds her missed layup. It's the one thing that it's the one thing that people throw out about Angel Reese, and I don't like it because they really don't understand the women's game. The women's game compared to the men's game, the percentages of layups missed is high.
Okay.
So every player in the WNBA benefits from sometimes their own layup misses. I was explaining that to my wife this morning. That criticism comes from people that just don't watch women's basketball. I mean, I
Well,
coach
you know the
it.
game.
I
You
see it
coach
all
it.
the
You
time.
coach it.
Yeah, I
Right.
mean, so Angel Reese is a phenomenal player. I think Caitlin Clark is just one of those players. Wherever people are gravitating to her, she can elevate the game, and that's all that I'm about. Fellas, before we wrap this up and get to our parting shots and our start one, cut one, erase one, the NFL is genius, man. Like, if you remember the draft when we were growing up, they used to do the NFL draft in the conference room of a hotel.
Mhm.
And now you look at it a few weeks ago in Green Bay. I mean, they had hundreds of thousands of people. I mean, that's what it has grown into. And now this past week, you have people sitting on pins and needles for the NFL schedule.
Yeah.
Like that's become a big deal now. And I'm telling you, fellas, it's coming. They are going to start to have people at the combine. They just have to figure out how to make money out of inviting fans into the combine. I think once they get that figured out and not have it be disruptive, you're going to see that, man. How good is the NFL in terms of their marketing and finding different ways to make money?
They're king. The NFL is king. Just think about how, during the NBA playoffs, something happens in the NFL and they change the narrative. They take the story. The NFL is 12 months a year, around the clock, 365 days. It's king. So yeah, they're genius. And then, looking at the schedule, playing overseas and overseas markets, I think your Vikings have 2 back-to-back overseas games, right, L Train?
Yeah, they do.
Two back-to-back, yeah. So again, it's all about money. It's all about dollars, tapping into the worldwide market. And then also, too, talking about the schedule, we play you all in week 5, okay? The Browns and the Vikings. So it'll be me and Rod against you. Me and Rod against you there, buddy. Against you.
I still got a little bit of love for the Browns. That's a win-win for me. Hey, if the Browns are able to do it, that's fine. But if the Vikings do it, that's fine too.
That's it. And you
Listen,
know what Mr. Jones would have to say about you rooting for the Vikings. You know what your dad would have to say about you rooting for them Vikings, man.
Man, I wouldn't even let my dad know, man. If I wouldn't even let him know.
Man, listen, the NFL is a machine. They have been a machine for a very long time. Their marketing strategies are really well planned out. If they can find a way to get fans into the NFL Combine, they would do that. They're doing I'm be honest, they're making it. They made the draft where I'm actually interested in watching it. Because when they were in the ballrooms and things of that nature, I didn't watch the draft. It was just like, okay, who did we get? Okay, we got this guy. Okay, great. But now I actually tune in because it is more of I don't want to say a circus, but it's an extravaganza, sitting back and watching it. So if the NFL, I trust the NFL more than any of these other leagues, that they're going to turn that combine into a spectacle. I see that coming. I agree with you, L Train.
So we got tee up this week for start one,
Right.
Start one, bench one, cut one, erase one. And so I know he's had a whole week to think about this, man. I'm a little bit scared of it, but we're going to let T throw out his scenario for us to figure out. So go ahead, T.
Yeah, I'm going to come at you two basketball and football geniuses. I'm going to come at you. I'm going to test your knowledge, your sport knowledge. We're going to come baseball, fellas. We're coming baseball and being more specific, pitchers in baseball, okay?
I'm going to write this down.
Pitchers. All right. L Train, you ready?
I'm ready, man.
Okay. First pitcher, Randy Johnson. Okay?
Oh,
Randy
the
Johnson.
big unit.
Okay.
Start one, bench one, cut one, dismiss one. Randy Johnson is the first one. Second choice is Dwight Doc Gooden from the old New York
Man.
Metropolitans. Doc Gooden.
Okay.
Third one up is Roger Clemens. I remember him in Boston.
Ooh.
Roger Clemens.
Yep.
And last but not least, I think he was inducted into the Hall of Fame last year. Northern California native and one-time Cleveland Indian, CC Sabathia. CC Sabathia. Got you, boys.
Okay, Rod, hey, man, you're up first. I need to think about this.
All right, so I'm going to start Roger Clemens. I'm going to bench Randy Johnson. I'm going to cut Dwight Gooden. And I'm going to erase CC Sabathia.
Wow. And he's sticking with it. All right, L Train, you go ahead.
Man.
Yeah.
Are you surprised at that, T?
Yeah, I am. I sure am.
Oh, man,
Go ahead, L
this
Train.
is tough. I am going to go. Ooh, this is tough. This is tough. I'm going to go Roger Clemens. I'm going to start Roger Clemens, man. I'm going to start Roger Clemens. I am going to bench Doc Gooden.
He had some
I'm
nasty
a bench
stuff back
Doc.
in the day.
He did have some nasty stuff. I'm a bench Doc Gooden. Now, this is the hard one for me. I cut CC Sabathia, and I got to erase the big unit, man.
Wow.
Only because, listen.
Wow.
The only reason why, let me tell you this, man. I think championships mean a lot. It doesn't mean everything, but championships, playoff success, it just means a lot. CC elevated the Cleveland Indians at the time, Cleveland Guardians now. But then when he went to the New York Yankees, I mean, he had some success there as well. So when I had to look at the two between Randy Johnson and CC Sabathia, I think CC is just more decorated, in my opinion.
Wow.
So
Okay.
that's why I think Doc Gooden was a bad man. When he was at his prime, he was a bad man. But I think out of the four, Roger Clemens is the greatest out of the four. So that's why I said start Roger Clemens, bench Doc, cut CC, and erase Randy Johnson, man. That's my rationale.
I think we all going to be on opposite ends, okay? I think we're all going to be on opposite ends. For me, I'm going to start Doc Gooden, okay? Because there was a time where he was lights out. Even when he finished his career in Cleveland, he still had something left, okay? When he finished with us back in the mid-'90s. So I'm going to start Doc. I'm going to cut Randy Johnson.
Okay.
That nasty left-hander. Didn't like him. He always threw at Kenny Lofton's head. I'm taking it personal. So I'm going to cut his rump, okay? I'm going to dismiss Roger Clemens. I'm going to dismiss him. Steroid cheat, but he was good. Yeah. He was good. And then I'm going to bench CC. I'm going to bench CC. So, again, we were all at opposite ends of the spectrum on this one. All at opposite ends, you know?
Hey, T, I give you a lot of credit, man. That was a tough one.
There you go. I said I had to throw a curve at you two basketball, football gurus. I had to get you off your norm. Get you out of your norm.
Hey, I don't mind. Hey, listen, I saw that. I'm like, all right. And then, so I'm like, I'm gonna come with the heat real quick. That's what I'm gonna do. Come with the heat. Because real quick with mine, I'm looking at Roger Clemens and I get Randy Johnson from your aspect, T. But when them two guys hit the mound, you can't tell me that there was not a level of fear that came into the opposing team. That you knew that in that game, if you got a hit off of any one of them, either one of them, that you won. Whether you won the scoreboard game or not. Randy Johnson from the left side, that curveball was wicked. Okay, and Roger Clemens, you didn't know if he was going to hit you with that 98-mile-per-hour fastball, a la Nolan Ryan, or if he was going to drop that hook on you. Now, it doesn't dismiss Doc Gooden. Doc Gooden was it. Don't get me wrong, but I had to cut somebody, and CC was just a youngster, so that's why I erased him.
Easy, got you. All right.
That was a tough one, man. I'm gonna have to follow that strong next week. I'm gonna have to follow that strong with something else. Let's hit our parting shots, man, before we get out of here. T, you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first. I'll keep it with the theme of baseball. This week, Rob Manfred, lifted the ban on Pete Rose and others for getting into the Hall. Pete was great. He was great, and he was before our time. So I've just seen the highlights and read the records and this and that. But Pete should have come clean with betting on baseball. In every Major League Baseball locker room, there's a sign, do not bet on baseball. And Pete did it both as a player and as a manager, and he never said he was sorry. He just, he pushed it in everybody's face and denied. I wish he would have come clean, and then we wouldn't have even, we wouldn't be here now. He would have been inducted in before he passed away. Now that he's gone, they want to say they do it. No, just leave it where it is. Pete does not belong in the Hall of Fame based on the fact that he just didn't come clean. Look at Michael Vick. Michael Vick is doing stuff with Peter now. He went to prison. He righted his wrongs. He said he was sorry, this and that. He made amends. So going forward, Michael Vick is deserving of everything. But again, with Pete just snubbed his nose at baseball and never admitted. So he still doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame. And shame on Rob Manfred for, lifting this ban right now and bringing that back into the forefront.
Continuously listen to the other biasness that he has had against Shedeur Sanders. And it is a problem that he is going on television and that he is continuously just bashing this young man for whatever reason, whether it's his father or whether it is. And my problem is that the local media has to get better. It's obvious that he does not like Shedeur personally, and he's never really met the kid. And so my shot, and I know this ain't positive, but I have to do it, is I need for Cleveland media to get better. I need for them to be better in terms of reporting these young athletes, whether you like them or whether you don't like them. Just report them evenly and honestly. So Tony Grossi's got to do a better job. He's been doing it for a very long time, but like I said, over the last few weeks, I've been watching him, and just the bias takes that he takes when it comes to Shedeur Sanders. He went to the rookie minicamp and he was charting passes. Who does that? Who charts passes at a rookie minicamp? Okay, and he came out on television saying that Dylan Gabriel was throwing better balls, but then Zach Jackson of the Republic went on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show and said hands down Shedeur Sanders was the best quarterback out there. So my thing is, Cleveland media, I need y'all to get better, especially Tony Grossi. I need you to get better in reporting these young athletes. I know he wanted Jalen Milroe, he didn't get it. But in the meanwhile, you got two quality quarterbacks. It is not knocking Dylan Gabriel, and it's not knocking Shedeur Sanders. But report them evenly on an even keel. Okay, so that's my parting shot. Cleveland media, you got to get better.
Man. That's unfortunate. Very, very unfortunate. My parting shot is to the WNBA and, all the powers that be that are running the WNBA. I think last year was kind of a flash in the pan. I think that's what a lot of people observed. But the amount of sellouts that came in week one from the WNBA is showing the ability of the WNBA to be able to sustain that excitement, to sustain that T, I agree with you. The women need to come out and support their sport.
Yeah, they do.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
But I think, the WNBA were at a crossroads, and I think they're starting to take the right road now. The way they are advertising the league, the way they are scheduling games. I mean, for the first game of the season, that Chicago Sky and that Indiana Fever game was absolutely box office for the first home game for the Fever of the year, man. You got Paige Beckers coming into the league now. The WNBA has something. They just have to continue to cultivate it, keep all the hate and all the drama out of it. And I think the WNBA can be a far better league in about 5 years than it's ever been. And I just want to take my hat off to them, because right now it seems like they're in the lane of doing things the right way. For them to be able to sustain that excitement and come back first week of the season this week and have the amount of people attend games, man, is absolutely just really a great thing. Mm-hmm. And for me to coach the sport, I've got a horse in the race. Who knows? I may have a player come off my team that has an opportunity to play in the league one day. So I just want that league to be set up good for the players that work so hard to be able to get to that level. So that's my parting shot for the week.
That's good stuff.
Sorry I went out on y'all. I went out on
another great week, man. I appreciate you joining us on 3 the Hard Way. Please hit that like and subscribe button. Hit that like and subscribe button. Continue to support the show. It helps us in the algorithm. It helps us be able to continue to pump out really, really, really good content every week, man. This show is going to get better and better and better. So thanks for those that have been supporting, and those of you that have not supported yet, man, please hit that like and subscribe button, and we really appreciate it. T, Rod, thanks again, man, for joining us this week. I appreciate your time.
Yes, sir. 3 the Hard Way.
Our brothers, have a good week and be safe. Be safe.
All right, now this is 3 the Hard Way. We'll see you guys next Sunday. Peace.